What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Founder Academy. I am Mark, the FUT founder, and I just want to start the video actually by apologizing for the delay in part two of this. There's been a really busy week with work, so unfortunately it's consumed a lot of my week, so I haven't been able to put out this video as quickly as I would have liked, but I promise, guys, I'm trying to power through this. We got a ton of stuff. We've got a lot of gameplay. We've got a lot of SBCs. The team is looking like almost incredibly different, like almost totally different than where we were at. Even in this video, guys, I was just actually logging on, kind of looking at some of the stuff that was going on in terms of like the content today, because I'd just gotten back, and man, my team looks so different. So a lot of really cool stuff to come. I promise it is worth it when you see some of the stuff that we've packed during Team of the Year, right? Like there's been some incredible additions to the team. We ended up packing a Team of the Year, our first one ever, guys, during Team of the Year, our first Team of the Year. What is it, 14 years? Like 14 years I've been playing this game, never packed a Team of the Year. We did put a little money on the game, so look, it's not like I packed this guy organically, but we've also got a ton of packs coming up for the full Team of the Year that I've been saving. I ended up packing premature epaculation, as Zwayback says in his videos, right? So we ended up packing a few a little bit earlier, or opening a few a little bit earlier than I would have liked, but at the end of the day, I left all the big boys for the big full release, which is going to be on Thursday, so I'm excited to do that. We will get that recorded and throw that into a video, but I was able to pack a big boy, one of the attackers. So those of you that follow me on Twitter probably would have seen this already, but if you don't follow me on Twitter, go ahead and follow me. It's down below in the description. But for those of you that don't want to scroll because you're too lazy, how dare you? It is at @the_FUT founder. I'm trying to find a little bit better handle, but look, for now that will have to do. So again, at the @the_FUT founder, and you can follow me on there. I'm a little bit more up to date in terms of staying on stuff. I always reply to people's comments. I try to engage with the footy community out there. But you know, it's obviously a quicker turnaround time if you're trying to, you know, message me or get any comments or anything like out, you know, from me, or just want to message me anything. Like I'm really responsive on there, as opposed to like the videos where I, you know, try to get 1 or 2 out a week, and as you guys can see, it takes sometimes like a week for me to turn something around, just because I've got, you know, a life I got to live. Unfortunately, I don't do this full time. So that's that. I also want to thank everybody. We have hit our first milestone as a channel. So we have hit 101 followers, and or subscribers, and I'm so excited about that. I know that number might sound like not a huge number to a lot of you, because we've actually had this channel for a couple of years, but I've been so inconsistent with it in the past. But over the last couple months, I've just been so jazzed up about wanting to get this going again that I've tried to stay on top of it as much as I can. And I guess YouTube noticed, and they've been you know, surfacing my videos a lot more. Also, a lot of that probably has to do with the fact that the handicap video that I made like over a year ago has continued to just bring new people into the channel. So if you came here through that, please drop a like below, you know, comment anything. I love hearing from you guys. Any comments that you guys put into the channel or on the videos, I try to like respond, right? Like I love hearing from you guys. I love hearing your thoughts and feedback. Even sometimes it's a little critical from some people, right? I've had some hate from some of the handicap video. Like a guy thought that I was the one that created handicap, and I was thinking like, dude, you are very confused. But by the sounds of it, he's been confused for a very long time. So it does not bother me. It's just I find it very funny when, you know, people have nothing better to do than just go on there and like vent on the internet. But that's what the internet's good for, right? So anyway, what you guys are seeing here is the gameplay. So there's a lot of gameplay. It's the second half of our FUT Champs. This is just the qualifying run. We've got all our actual FUT Champs run, which I'm just going to power all those games out because I do not want them lingering. I don't want to do it over like 4 parts. I'm just going to like put them into like 2 videos, like 10 games each, and really just like, you know, like get those games out of the way. And then the second half of this video is some of the new additions that we have coming into the team. We did a couple SBCs, did some coin sync SBCs, and yeah, some exciting new additions to the team. So with the gameplay here, these opponents that we came up with, you know, some really tough players. I was expecting this to be a little bit easier to qualify, but I guess it's just like FUT Champs, you know, some of the guys that you come up against, especially when you're getting a higher elo, the players are very, very good, and they are not easy to beat, especially because we took a couple losses, and I know I won't make this into a handicap video because you guys were having to listen to my rants about morale in the last video, but as you guys can see plainly in this video right here, our team was getting affected a little bit more, right? We came up against a really decent opponent. He knew how to abuse it, and you can tell just by my players falling all over the place. They were just getting affected really badly, right? So it was a very, very tough game. Some of these, when you're coming up against tough opponents, you can't afford to have your team playing like that. So it was on me. I should have gone offline and gotten my team back to a playable state. Whether we would have won or not, I don't know, but at least I would have given myself a chance. This guy was way too good an opponent for me to go in with the team that, you know, the level that they were at, right? At the morale that they were at, however you want to look at it. As you guys can see with Puskas, he cuts in a lot of the time onto his left because he's got such a strong left foot, and he's just missing chances. Even here, you know, George Best, normally they round the keeper quite well, right? And he can just put the ball away. But with a lot of these chances, the ball's bouncing up. They're taking these wide zigzaggy runs. Even when they have the ball at their feet, they're overcompensating like that. So it was really, really tough to play, right? And you don't get a whole lot of scoring opportunities. So when the ball's bouncing, it's just bringing, you know, extra time for the opponent to allow him to get back into position. They're missing shots. The shots are a lot more central, and it just, you know, it was becoming hugely problematic. I wasn't able to put a lot of opportunities away. It had to be really, really forceful things like that, like just a straightaway, just power shot in. But if you tried to get too cute, especially with like finesse shots or just trying to round keepers or something, the ball would jump up, and you could just feel them. They didn't feel like they were in control. He really should have sweated that. I don't know what he was doing there. But this guy handled it right? Like when he saw that my team was going ultra attacking, he just went ultra attacking. He did exactly what you need to do, and he ends up benefiting from it, right? Go counter attack. Not counter attack, but if I go ultra attacking, you go ultra attacking, right? You guys will see later in this video, we came up against opponent. He ended up basically beating me up when my team was getting moraled really heavily. And he went up 3-0, and he made the biggest mistake you could make, which is going back into a defensive shell. And you guys will see what happens, right? We end up coming back into the game, and it causes him a bunch of nightmares. So for whatever reason, this game is, you know, the ultra attacking is just so broken and so overpowered that it affects everyone, anyone you're coming up against. The only way to answer it is to just counter that with your own ultra attacking. You're gonna just allow goals. So the only thing that you can do is just score more, right? So you have to just go shot for shot for shot and just hope that the game essentially runs out and just finish it like 7-5, because you are going to bleed goals. There's no way to prevent it. If your opponent goes ultra attacking, you're going to concede. It's just fact. And the one thing you want to avoid doing at all times is going ultra defensive. Just stay away from it. It doesn't work. Your players get passive, and they sit back, and they're not aggressive. They go into a slumber. It's almost like they fall asleep. And just ultra defensive, unlike ultra attacking, which is very overpowered, ultra defensive just does not work. It's actually a detriment. So I almost never use ultra defensive. The only time I use ultra defensive is when I'm like really late in a game and I'm up one goal. Let's say if it's 5-4 and I pulled one back and I just need bodies back, but I set my tactics to be super aggressive, because the default tactics not only have a lot of men behind the ball, but they are in drop back, and that's what you do not want to do. You do not want to go drop back late in the game, because your defensive AI, the sliders will drop and you'll concede, because they're just going to sit back, and it allows your opponent to push you back into your own box, and it's going to open up opportunities late in the game. So if you do go ultra defensive, set your tactics up in custom tactics so it's very, very aggressive. So at least they're rushing, because like I said, the last thing you want to do is have them just fall asleep, because they will concede. This game was a very tough game. This game, we came up against a really tough opponent, but you know, our team was getting moraled. But this guy it was a real shot for shot. I think we went ultra attacking at one point, just to try to get my team out of that slumber, and it ended up, you know, like that, right? Like we're creating opportunities, but my team's just not putting opportunities away. And then, you can tell the odd break will come down, but even the shots that they're taking, like you could see Puskás there, he takes a wide angle to it, right? It wasn't aggressive and sharp, and he wasn't going in straight lines. Like look at the way he rounds the keeper here. I don't know if you guys can see that, but go back and watch it. He would kind of do a little bit of a weave, right? And what that's doing is it's causing the keeper to shut you down, so he can close that gap on you and smother you. And it just, unfortunately, we concede here late in the game, right? So my team was just getting affected. Normally I score a goal, right? But even there, like look at Ederson, right? He does the Tyrannosaurus Rex arms, and he short arms it instead of extending his arms like he normally would. He does a short arm, so it allows the goal. A lot of that has to do with the way the team is playing, but also with the fact that it's late in the game, so the defensive sliders have all dropped. So unfortunately, we end up losing this game again, so this is another loss that we take on. Credit to my opponent, he knew how to actually take advantage of that and counterattack, or just, go ultra attacking. But those are the frustrations that you're going to come up with, right? So again, my own fault. I should have went offline, taken my team back, get them to a playable state. And we ended up taking a loss in what should have been a game that I should have probably won based on the possession. But it was a real back and forth game. I just should have given myself a chance. Not necessarily should have won it. I should have just given myself a chance. That's on me. Knowing what I know about the game, just getting them back to a playable state. It was really stupid on my part to do that. Then we come up against this guy. This, I think, was the game that I was talking about earlier, I believe. Let me just check here. Or it might have been the next one. I can't remember. It was one of these two. But yeah, it was a really odd game. I'm trying to see. I think this is the one that we're talking about. Yeah, this is the one we're talking about. So this guy ends up scoring. As you guys can see here, the defenders move out of the way instead of holding position. We've taken on those two losses, so now the defensive AI is right through the floor. You'll see it in the next goal that he ends up scoring. The players just pull away, and they allow the player to just make this run right through the middle of the field. Even here, like Puskás just kind of stutters with it. I want to take that shot. He just straight misses it near post. But watch here. The defenders open up that gap, right? So it allows him to move into that space. He makes a nice move on the keeper, but I still have two players in line with where the shot was coming. You can't really see it here because he skips through, but both of my players came back and were in the way, and they both do this. They both turn their backs and kind of let it go past instead of just doing what 99% of defenders do and just blocking shots. Lift your leg, get your body in the way. Most of the time blocks are overpowered, but when you're getting handicapped, your team actually does the opposite and they move out of the way. So these opportunities, I don't allow these when my team's playing to their full potential, because the shots are very central, right? There's a lot of bodies behind the ball, and they normally block those shots, but because it's slowing or it's dumbing my defensive AI down, it's actually, even when there's bodies there, they'll do this, right? And they'll create a hole, and the ball will just kind of see its way through it. And I know that sounds like an excuse, but this will happen to you, right? This is stuff. It's not me justifying the losses. This is more me explaining to you guys like what you guys can do to prevent this stuff from happening. When that happens to you, like I said, take them offline, get them playable, or you can just go and play some friendlies or whatever. But it's really just making your team at a playable state. Anyway, so what I did in this game was I was like, okay, this is way earlier than I want to, but I'm just going to ultra attack. So he, like I said, did the worst thing you can do, which is go into a defensive shell. He moved all his players back and went back into defensive and just tried to sit back. I think he felt like, oh my God, I'm lucky to be up 3-0. This guy's got a powerful team. I'm just going to sit back. Never do that. Never do that. Because as you guys can see here, we already pulled 2 back. And all I did was I got my players out of that slumber, just affected the sliders by just going ultra attacking, right? So it's going to cause them to at least wake up offensively. Defensively, he still could have scored, but because his team was so defensive, he just sat back and they weren't attacking anymore. So I just came back. If he would have continued to do that, I would have probably beaten him 5-3. He might even have been able to come back. He might have beaten me 5-3 because if he went ultra attacking, my players were so dumb at that point defensively that he probably could have won the game. But he just felt it slipping away, doesn't know what he's doing with the game, and then just quit out because he felt the game slipping away, and he didn't want me to have a win. So he just ended up quitting. So really bizarre, really odd reaction to playing it, but like that's what I'm talking about, right? That's just an experience thing. If you're coming up against that, and you feel your opponent just going ultra attacking, go ultra attacking again, right? I can't stress that enough. It's the only answer to it, and just hope that you can score more goals than your opponent, because that's the only thing that you can do. So I think this is the second last game. I believe at this point we are 5-3, I want to say. The team is playing really poorly, but however, that doesn't really make any sense. However, my opponent here, I don't know if he had the same thing and our elo had dropped enough, so we were coming up against someone that was kind of around having that same effect. But you guys can see here his giveaways, the ball's bouncing, it's just not under control, but the keepers are making like just ridiculous saves. These shots are coming in. All my shots are very central, right? So he's got a really good keeper in Donnarumma. He's making really awesome saves, but he was having some challenges. This guy was having some challenges with his offense. So it wouldn't shock me if this guy had taken on a couple losses himself. So it ended up being a real chess match, right? And you can tell, right, when teams are having issues, right? This guy wasn't able to really control his team the way he probably would have liked offensively. His shots were coming in really central, and these games also don't produce a lot of goals, right? Because both teams, their offensive AI has really fallen through the floor, so they're going to miss chances like that. Like, there you go, another one. Like, these shots are just very central. You can kind of have that build-up play, a lot of mistakes, a lot of turnovers, and the only goal comes in late. And I think, to be totally honest with you, that one came from the fact that the game was so late, it just needed a goal, so it just kind of allowed it. And two, he should have just left his keeper. Instead, he moved it. He manually moved it, which was a big mistake of his, because he took him off his rail, and the keeper, didn't have the animation because it didn't set. If he would have just left it, he probably would have stopped that. Or at least he would have had a better chance to stop it. Late in the game there, I was just weathering pressure from him. I felt my team sitting back and actually opening up gaps. I was having to change players and pull them back into position, and I knew that he was going to equalize if I sat there and absorbed that pressure. I needed to get the ball back. It kept magnet balling the ball back to him. Which you guys have all experienced, right? When you're getting handicapped, or when the dynamic difficulty is so far in your opponent's favor, the ball just magnet balls back to him, and I felt it doing that. So I tried to do something really desperate. It ended up working out, which was just charge him with my keeper. He was not expecting it. The keeper slid out. The ball went into the air. It broke out of that momentum, right, in terms of the scripting, and the ball fell to my feet, and I just basically wasted the rest of the game. So not something I'm proud of, but this is the type of stuff you have to do, right? You have to kind of learn how to win. You got to grind out games. It's unfortunate because it's not fun and people get frustrated. I wouldn't doubt that guy was probably frustrated with it, right? I just had to hold possession, because if I turned it around, or if I turned the ball over, my defense was going to split and he was going to equalize, right? Because it was so late in the game with all those factors playing its part. The game would have forced him into an equalizer, right? And we would have had to go in extra time, but instead you get the win, right? And your morale goes up. So we're coming up against this last opponent, very similar to the previous guy that we played. Look at that for a pass. Jeez. The team's still at a very unplayable state. As you guys can tell, they're not aggressively going in. They're just backing off, and they're letting the opponent just walk right in. So I'm having to play a real chess match against this guy. But look at his defenders, right? They'll only make those challenges when it's a last ditch and super high pressure. That's when the slider goes up defensively. But when you're kind of in and around the 18, all the players are just backing up. So this was a very systematic game, right? This was just hold possession, because if you turn it over, you could end up losing that game 1-0. I knew that these games are very low scoring because both teams are getting affected. Both teams, their elos have dropped, probably from previous losses. So this is just a game of one goal. It's who's going to score it, right? So that ends up being what it is. Even look at that pass, right? That should have been really central. Instead, it took the player way out of position. My keeper comes out. I have to be aggressive with the goalie and steal the ball away from him, right? Because if I don't manually pull the keeper out, he would have allowed that to just he would have just sat there and let the guy turn around and just shoot it into the net. It's just, it's two broken teams playing against each other, right? That's essentially what it is. Thankfully, we ended up scoring a goal, but you guys can tell with his passes, his chances, right? The ball's bobbling out of his feet, right? So this is just an unfortunate game of two bad teams playing each other, right? So it's just, can we grind out this win? playing with the handicap that we're playing with and beat a guy who clearly looked like he was getting handicapped too. Even here, I wanted to sweat the ball across, but look at how under hit that is, right? Like, just the mechanics of this game. This is pre-patch too, right? So you guys need to keep that in mind. It's something that I'm really interested in, guys. Leave a comment below. I'm interested to hear what you guys, manual keeper movement there, thankfully. I'm interested to hear what you guys think of this new patch. I've heard a lot of negativity around it. It wouldn't surprise me if the game is bad. I haven't, unfortunately, been able to play that much of it because, like I said, I've been busy with work, and the last couple of days I've just really been grinding and kind of doing some pack opening stuff. So I haven't played too much online. I'll probably play, in the next week or so, a little bit more, especially once we get some of these big guys that we're saving up for into the squad. But I, again, haven't heard really good things about the patch. People are complaining that short passing is broken, which would be hugely detrimental to my style of play because I play that tiki-taka style. They're saying drop back is back in the game, so defensive AI has been amped up and guys are just missing shots. Like, I've never seen such negativity surround a patch. People always complain about a patch, and then after about a week they kind of die off, so I don't know if this is the case, but this one's been really consistent. So again, guys, leave a comment below. Tell me about how you feel about this current patch and where the game is at. I'm really interested to hear what exactly has been causing you, to enjoy it, or more importantly, to hate the game. I don't want to breed negativity, but I when people are saying that the game is bad, I want to hear why it's bad. I don't like going on Twitter and saying like, oh, FIFA sucks. This is the worst FIFA ever. Those are just crutch words that don't mean anything. Well, okay, you said that about FIFA 17 and 18 and 19 and 20 and 21. So why is this the worst FIFA ever? Don't just say it's the worst FIFA ever because you're losing and you're frustrated, which if you don't have an actual answer, I'm going to assume that that's the case, right? A lot of people just complain because they want to complain. But anyway, in terms of where we're at with the club, what you guys are seeing here is we had those Toni Kroos investments that went into the game. I would like to actually see them nerf a lot of trading. That was a if it ain't broke, if you can't beat them, join them type of deal. I decided to invest. I ended up making probably about 200K on Toni Kroos's in just one investment process, right? So like Toni Kroos made us a bunch of money. We had to sell a couple. We ended up doing this Alex Eto'o, who's a phenomenal card. If you guys use him as your striker, he's a little tough to fit in. You essentially have to fit him in with Brazilians or icons or both. But a very, very good striker. If you need him, or if you can fit him in and you want to use him as your standalone striker, phenomenal. Like I said, we had to sell a couple of those Toni Kroos's. We did them for about 200K. Amazing card. And then we ended up doing this. So this is the last squad I believe we had to do. This one was really overpriced. This was Fernando Torres. I do not recommend doing this. It's about 1.2, 1.3 million. I think we ended up doing it for about half of that. So again, ended up costing us a ton. We had to sell a couple more Toni Kroos's, and we had to use some of our savings that were in the squad in order to get him. This was just more of an emotional one than anything because I do like Fernando Torres. He's kind of one of those guys that I would answer of like, who's one of your favorite players that played for a team that you don't like? He would be that. No offense to Liverpool fans, just not. I'm not a Liverpool fan. So he's one of those guys that I always admired. And I'm proud to have him in the club. But yeah, definitely overpriced. Definitely not worth that. He's like 900K on the market, and you can get it for like 400K less tradable, right? So if you are going to do it, don't do it unless you can just craft it for free and you just have nothing else to put your fodder in. But I even think there's a couple other better SBCs out there from the icon standpoint. He's big, he's fast, he's strong. He can finish. He's got a great shot, but he doesn't have that agility, and he just doesn't feel as rapid. He's kind of like that. Once he's going, but he doesn't have that quick get up and go, right? And that's like that acceleration is hugely beneficial. And then we end up getting this guy, Raheem Sterling, who I'm super excited about. This guy goes into the squad. You'll see him in the FUT Champs video, which is going to be the next video. So that is going to be the end of this one. We're really excited where the squad is going to be. We end up packing a big boy. So some big changes coming to the team in the near future, but that is going to be the end of this video, guys. I appreciate you sticking with me to the very end. Until next time, guys, take care. Peace.